Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into the brilliant concepts from Majesty and Monotony, but you know what? We're going to mix things up a bit. We're actually going to skip right over Chapter 9 for now. Even though it's kind of the philosophical heart of the whole book, we are saving it. Instead, we are executing a massive descent. We're literally traveling all the way from the abstract cosmos straight down to, well, your modern-day office cubicle.
This is it, the exact moment we transition from Part 2 to Part 3 of the book. We are officially graduating from the ivory towers of academia, leaving behind all those mind-bending theories about quantum fluctuations, immutable time, and complex math. We are crashing right into the rugged real world. Down here, things get a bit messy. We're suffering from historical amnesia, we're facing totally uncertain futures, and we actually have to figure out how to survive, make a buck, and build our economies.
So here's our roadmap for this explainer. We'll start with that descent from the cosmos to Earth, talk about working just to survive, and then get into how we combat entropy and actually collaborate. After that, we'll look at the value of entertainment, sharing human knowledge, and finally wrap up with your own cosmic career. These next few chapters, 10 through 14, are all about the practical, nitty-gritty applications of human life, basically answering the big question, how on earth do we actually use our foundational universal knowledge in the real world?
All right, Section 1, from cosmos to Earth. Let's really bridge that gap and figure out why theoretical science is absolutely crucial to our everyday, boots-on-the-ground survival.
There's this absolutely legendary story about Michael Faraday that hits the nail right on the head. So a politician once asked him what practical good his weird, abstract discoveries about electricity actually were. And Faraday just looks at him and calmly replies, "At present, I do not know, but one day you will be able to tax them." Boom, right? In one single sentence, he perfectly bridged that massive gap between pure scientific observation and the foundation of real-world economies.
Moving right along to Chapter 10, Working to Survive. Let's get practical and look at how our ancestors basically wrestled with nature, shifting us from working just to not die to working so we can actually live.
When you look at the evolution of human labor, it's honestly incredibly humbling. Just think about this. For a staggering 190,000 years, humans were just foraging and hunting. It was a brutal, everyday scramble just to secure enough calories to survive. But then, enter the agricultural revolution. People finally settled down, which eventually kicked off the Industrial Revolution. And that brings us to today, modern livelihood. Now we're super specialized, and we actually have the luxury to pursue what we call cosmic careers.
Which brings us to a massive aha moment. Less than 1%. Seriously, let that sink in for a second. Less than 1% of living people today are required to produce the food that feeds our entire planet of 7 billion people. It's wild. And because of that tiny fraction of a percent, the other 99% of us are totally freed up from the daily hunt. We get to build civilizations, invent crazy technologies, and just dream up the future.
Now jumping into chapters 11 and 12, combating and collaborating. Because having all that freed up time definitely doesn't mean life is a breeze. Building a society is incredibly hard because it goes directly against the very physics of our universe.
Think about it like this. Conflict is easy. It is infinitely easier to break things and watch them crumble. That aligns perfectly with the universe's natural love for entropy. Things just naturally decay over time. But humanity? We chose the incredibly hard path. We actively choose to fight against nature and collaborate with each other to build civilization. And that takes monumental, never-ending effort.
To actually pull off that monumental effort against entropy, we harness these incredible tools called the pillars of knowledge. We're talking agriculture, industrial development, technology, infrastructure, economics, science, and medicine. We use these pillars to work together, building massive structures and sprawling industries just to make sure 7 billion of us can survive and thrive in a rugged real world that, frankly, naturally wants to tear it all down.
All right, Chapter 13, the value of entertainment. Once our basic survival is locked down by those pillars we just talked about, what do we actually do with our free time? How do we stop just surviving and start truly thriving?
Well, we turn to our cultural pursuits. Music, visual arts, martial arts, storytelling. And look, these aren't just trivial ways to kill time on a Sunday afternoon. They are profound disciplines of entertainment that literally blossomed out of the fundamental elements of the universe itself. They enrich our everyday lives, and honestly, they give all of our exhausting societal efforts against entropy actual meaning. Moving to Chapter 14, sharing our human knowledge. With all this amazing progress, there's a huge risk.
How do we make sure we don't just forget everything we've built? We have to fight off our collective cosmic amnesia.
And the way we do that is through dissemination. Without tools like books, universities, the internet, public planetariums, or even explainers like the one you're going through right now, we would lose absolutely everything our ancestors figured out. By actively creating and using these tools, we get to pass down our hard-earned experiences and tech to the next generation. It is literally the only way to keep human progress moving consistently forward.
Which finally brings us to the ultimate application of all this knowledge. Let's talk about your cosmic career ahead and connect this vast, epic history directly back to you and your 9-to-5.
This leads to such a profound realization. You are the universe looking back at itself, working a 9-to-5. Seriously, your job, whatever it is, isn't just some menial daily grind. It is the literal culmination of 14 billion years of physics, chemistry, and human history. All of that perfectly aligned so you could step out of the food chain, specialize in something, innovate, and earn a living in a modern civilization. How cool is that?
So I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. Armed with these pillars of knowledge and a deep understanding of our grand cosmic history, how will you use your specific career to push humanity forward? What role are you going to play in the massive superorganism of our society? Think about it. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.